Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, just continues to show everybody why he, in fact, is the right man for the job. You know, what he stands for benefits London and the country as a whole. You know, he's a massive advocate for putting a stop to climate change, which is why he expanded his ULEZ scheme across Greater London, which isn't a tax on the poorer families. I don't know why people would even come up with such a thing. You know, it's completely beyond me. And when you preach about these things and then you go fly on a jet, on a plane to New York to talk about these things, to me, that screams authenticity to the highest level. And I hope Sadiq Khan is in the job for a long time. Now, before we carry on with this video and I get into the reasons as to why I think the opposite, if you could, make sure to leave a like rating as it really helps out the video. We're on the road to 60k, so if you could as well, if you're new of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, share this video as well so more and more people can get wind of it too. That would be great to see. But Sadiq Khan and a group of city mayors, global city mayors, have banded together to create the group C40. Sounds like a cheesy boy band about to audition on the X Factor. I don't know about you guys, but they have come up with a very extreme vision for the movement net zero, which would see people not eating meat, not eating dairy, and only wearing apparently 3 outfits a year. Remember guys, you know, you will own nothing and you will be happy. The Telegraph have gone on to report, no meat, no dairy, and 3 outfits a year. Welcome to Sadiq Khan's plan for London. C40, a global group of city mayors chaired by Sadiq Khan, has a radical vision of net zero that critics say will restrict personal choice. Who could have seen that one coming? Picture the scene. You have just made it through the door from work, although not by car because private vehicles no longer exist. You change out of your work clothes into something more comfortable, perhaps one of the 3 new items of clothing you're allowed to buy every year. Then it's downstairs for dinner, since all this virtue is hungry work. But don't forget that meat and dairy are off the menu, so instead you might like to daydream about getting away from it all, only to remember that you used up your quota of 1 short-haul return flight every 3 years last summer. Yeah, sounds like something vegans and progressives like the sound of, right? I imagine if any are watching right now, they can't wait for this to happen. It sounds very Orwellian to me. You know, if I didn't give the context behind it all and just read it out, you would think George Orwell's probably risen from the dead and released a new novel. No, this is apparently what the C40 group are potentially thinking about. It wouldn't surprise me, you know, if in the next 10 years or so we don't actually see movement towards this, because I think once again people will be emotionally guilt tripped into certain things like they were before a few years ago, and people will just fully embrace it, especially as we move towards this liberal world where these agendas are brought up through the education system. And I remember this when I was at school and university, so I can't imagine what it's like. You're constantly told about climate change, etc., etc. So I think as time does go on, more and more people will be accepting of it because it's all they have been told. This is the radical vision of a net zero future dreamed up by C40. Sounds like my nightmare if I'm going to be honest. A global collective of city mayors chaired by Sadiq Khan, which advocates extreme measures to halve greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and limit global temperature increases to 1.5. The mayor of London is of course no stranger to pushing the dial on climate change. His unrelenting expansion of the ULEZ ultra low emission zone in August faced down major criticism from affected businesses, disadvantaged citizens, and vigilante vandals. Khan is showing no signs of slowing down. This week, plans were unveiled to lower the speed limit to 20 miles per hour on a further 40 miles of roads in London, the capital's largest ever rollout to date. And this is just what happens, you know, you see it all the time. They continue to push and push and push, because once people give them an inch, they will take a mile only. Just with this mile-long road, they aren't going to be going 20 miles per hour. They're going to be speeding along it to make sure they can put more policies in place and continue to push more and more. Which again, you know, liberals will stand on that side road and say, yes, we're all for this. Please take my freedom away just as long as you fix this issue. It's very strange we've reached that point where people just say, yeah, okay, I'll do this. It's like people just don't understand sometimes that the more you give people, the more they take away. Then again, what do I know? Since December 2021, he has led C40, which is made up of the mayors of 96 cities from 6 different continents. It spends time conducting research, holding conferences, and drawing up climate action plans, which were originally founded by the then Labour Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, in 2005. It merged the following year with a similar body set up by former US President Bill Clinton, and its current board president is Michael Bloomberg, the US billionaire. Its website lists the British Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office as a major funder among several other governments, charities, and multinational companies. In 2019, when Khan was vice chairman, C40 commissioned a startling study by the University of Leeds and Arup, a consultancy, about how cities could slash their emissions by 2030. Citizens' consumption habits were its central focus as it set out a range of progressive and ambitious targets. Its more radical suggestions involve no less than the abolition of private vehicles, the prohibition of meat and dairy consumption, the rationing of new items of clothing to 3 each per year, and the restriction of short-haul return flights to 1 every 3 years. It also proposed slashing the use of steel and cement in construction and significantly increasing the proportion of buildings made from wood, disregarding, however, the major restrictions this would place on attempts to solve the housing crisis by building more homes. Khan has not proposed implementing any of these suggestions, but to his critics, the report is emblematic of C40 as an unelected, self-appointed body which holds radical positions on net zero and climate change that the public could not bear. Howard Cox, the motoring campaigner and reform candidate for next year's London mayoral elections, dubs it an undemocratic global quango which, if elected, he would pull London out of. Yeah, you know what? The day these people actually care about the average person and not just say it but act on it, I'll put pronouns in my Instagram bio. Never happening. But as I said earlier, we have reached a point where people would embrace these restrictions if they ever did come about. 10, 15 years ago, you might read that and think, wait, no, this shouldn't be happening. I expect people to stand up against this, make their voices heard, which they do. But there is a large group of people who would say, no, I want this to happen. Please, please take away my freedom. It doesn't matter what it is or how serious it is. Just fix this issue without thinking, wait, how is this going to affect the large majority? And this is just my opinion. Sadiq Khan can also come out and say, we deny all of this isn't going to happen. His spokespeople can come out and say, oh, no, we don't want these policies. But I'm sure they would do the same thing if a report came out 10 years ago saying, we're going to tax people £12.50 for their cars if it doesn't meet certain requirements. They would also come out and say, oh no, we're not going to do that. I don't believe them when they say we're not going to do this, because they always act in the opposite way in the future. Wouldn't surprise me again if we move towards something like this in the next 10 years or so, where people do have to live their lives a certain way. They do have to eat a certain way. They do even have to dress a certain way for this issue. And when you constantly put it in the mainstream media for years and years, you put it in the education system, you fearmonger, you tell people in X amount of years the world is going to end, of course people will accept it, because people are constantly told unless we do this thing, then that is going to happen. So of course people do embrace such things like this. It's sad to me we've reached that point. It's sad people can't think for themselves. It's sad people just go along with what they're told and not see what may be happening in the future. And of course people do care about the environment. I care about the environment, but when you're going to put potential restrictions on people which limits how much of the environment they can actually see and the environment you're claiming to save, then I think there's an issue there. And I think people do have the right to ask questions and say, hey, look, where is this going? Who knows, maybe in the next few years we won't actually be eating the creepy crawlies going around on the floor, and we could all be wrong here, and it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows. Maybe that's a little bit too optimistic, but leave your thoughts down below on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, could you envision a country where people aren't eating meat, dairy, and only dressing up in 3 outfits a year, and also not really allowed to go on planes? Doesn't sound too unrealistic, does it, when you put it like that? But leave your thoughts down below. If you have enjoyed today, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.